Samsara dava nalalira loka Tranaya karinya ghana ghanatyam
Samsara dava nalalira loka Tranaya karinya ghana ghanatyam
Prapta sakalyana gunarnavasya
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Sri Vrindavan Dham. This is the home of Šrila Prabhupada that was built by his disciples in 1972, where Prabhupada spent so many intimate times with his disciples and followers. My name is Daivishakti. I've been here trying to serve Srila Prabhupada since 1974. A good portion of that time was spent here in Prabhupada's rooms, cleaning his house and cooking for him while he was present, and then after he disappeared, taking care of his quarters so that the public could come in and see his rooms. So this first room is Srila Prabhupada's darshan area. It's a very large room. Now in the corner of the room is the bed where Prabhupada left. He entered samadhi while lying on this bed. So when Prabhupada was here with his disciples from 1972 to 1977, this bed wasn't here. It was brought here by Hari Sori. He had it donated by one life member. Just when Prabhupada came in around September, October of 77, when Prabhupada was too ill to move much, so he thought it would be better to keep Prabhupada here in the main room. Prabhupada, his asana was always here, and this beautiful desk was carved for Srila Prabhupada. This is where Prabhupada would greet his guests and also where he would do most of his translation work in the house, although he did do a lot of translating in his upstairs bedroom at night. So Prabhupada would, in the evening time, he would have the house open for public darshan, and many devotees, many visitors would come and ask Prabhupada questions, or Prabhupada would have readings going on, and that would be just before the arti time in the evening. This is a picture of Radha Rasa Bihari at Bombay. This photo used to go everywhere with Srila Prabhupada to remind him that he had an unfinished task there in Bombay. So of course when Srila Prabhupada entered samadhi, the photo stayed here. Prabhupada would often look at this photo and say that he had made a promise to Radha Rasa Bihari that he would complete their temple. So when Prabhupada came back from London, he specifically went to Bombay to try to get the temple finished before he finished his pastimes here. But unfortunately, it wasn't able to be done until the January after. It wasn't open until the January after Prabhupada disappeared. This is an old photo of the original Berry Place temple that we found here in Prabhupada's house and have been preserving it. This is Srila Prabhupada's original sannyas danda that he had kept at the Radha Damodar rooms, that was removed from there, and then a few years ago it was returned. So we're keeping it here safely in Prabhupada's rooms. This is a picture of Krishna and Balaram, not on the day that they were installed, but just a few days after, one of the outfits made by the devotees here. Prabhupada was given a few of these photos just after the opening, and he had us frame them and keep them all around the room. This is the only one that's still remaining, so we keep it here safely, right on Prabhupada's bed at the place where Prabhupada disappeared. Attached to Prabhupada's main darshan room is his prasadam room that he would morning and afternoon take his breakfast and lunch at. The asana where Prabhupada would sit is the original asana that was made for Prabhupada when he stayed at the Radha Damodar rooms, and then it was brought here when he moved here afterwards. The desk is also from there. We just had to put a protective covering on top because of the water. This is the palanquin that Srila Prabhupada was carried around the temple with when he was extremely ill in the later days. And then after Prabhupada entered Samadhi, they took Prabhupada on the Antim Darshan, that's the final darshan, when Prabhupada took darshan of the major 7 temples, and also the deities had darshan of Srila Prabhupada for the last time. This is the etiquette and the system for the pure devotees, the acharyas, when they enter Samadhi. This is one of the original Srimad Bhagavatams that Srila Prabhupada would use for the translation. In Bengali it says Srimad Bhagavat, and here's Srila Prabhupada's signature with Vrindavan. And then in here, Prabhupada would use this as reference when he was making his translations and purports. Here's one of the slokas, the Sanskrit slok but in Bengali text, and then the different tikas by the different acharyas. These books, I was told, were printed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So Prabhupada would study the sloka and then the different tikas or purports given by the acharyas, and then he would go on to create his Bhaktivedanta Swami purports himself. This is a dictionary that Prabhupada or his servants would refer to for word meanings. These are laminations of Prabhupada's letterheads that he used to use when he lived in Chippiwada at Delhi. These are his memo pads. This is his address at the Radha Bansi Gopal temple at Keshigat for the League of Devotee letterheads. Founder Secretary Goswami Abhay Charan, Bhaktivedanta, with the different types of membership fees that you can have. Patron, advisor, constitutional, and sympathizer. Sympathizer was rupees 10 per year. So Prabhupada would use this for writing his letters. And then this is the letter pad for his Hindi edition of Back to Godhead called Bhagavad Darshan. We also have some issues of that in his Almira that we'll show later. So this is all in Hindi, giving his addresses at both Keshigat in Vrindavan and the Dharmshala, the Swarup, Narayan, Agarwal, Veni, Madhav, Dharmshala ke Samne in Kanpur. This is a Kanpur address that Srila Prabhupada used to use. Both his Vrindavan and Kanpur addresses are given here. This is a very close associate of Srila Prabhupada's. This is his Grundig dictaphone that will go everywhere with Srila Prabhupada. Quite famous amongst his secretaries and servants. They'd have to set it up for Prabhupada, and the tapes would be sent for preparing the books. So this is the microphone that we'd often see in Prabhupada's hands when pictures were taken of him when he was translating. These are some of the preserved issues of the original Back to Godhead that Prabhupada printed. The first is March 1952, and the first page is Prabhupada's very famous poem that was given to his spiritual master on his Vyasa Puja that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati appreciated very much. When we first opened Srila Prabhupada's Almira in his back bedroom, we found this little booklet, and it turned out that Prabhupada, he had an interview, a meeting with Indira Gandhi when she was the Prime Minister, I believe in 1976. And before that meeting, Prabhupada had jotted down 10 notes that he wanted to present to her to grant immigration for 500 foreigners, which was approved, but it never happened. He wanted all the MPs, the Ministers of Parliament, to be initiated Brahmins. He wanted the elder son of Indira Gandhi, Sanjay, to be the king, and Indira Mother the queen, so that a proper monarchy could be set up in the country. He said that all slaughterhouses should be completely prohibited. Unfortunately, it was Indira Gandhi who sanctioned that slaughterhouses and cow slaughter could be performed here in India, which was a greatly sinful act at that time. He wanted chanting to go on regularly everywhere. Meat eating could only be done at home. Prostitution punishable. No religious groups except for Bhagavad Gita as it is. And all officers must attend kirtan at least thrice in a day. That also Krishna consciousness should be supported all over the world. One time Prabhupada took a walk down to our Taparia house, which was later turned into the Bhaktivedanta Swami Goshala. Mr. Taparia, one of our life members in Bombay, had donated that house and land. So when he was there, the devotees asked Prabhupada to step in some soft clay, some sculpting clay, to get his footprint impressions. And from that, molds of Prabhupada's footprints were made and distributed to the various temples. You'll see those footprints on many of the Vyasasans in the major temples. This is a beautiful compact that was given to Srila Prabhupada by Hari Suri. This is Krishna and Balaram in solid gold. And inside is a mirror with a picture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. This is a gold straw that was given by Sulochan Das and Sulochan Dasi. Prabhupada would use this to drink his dabs, that's the green coconuts, and for his afternoon juice. This also would go with Prabhupada everywhere. These were Prabhupada's bathroom shoes. Some wooden shoes that Prabhupada would use to go into the bathroom. He'd only use it for that purpose. So when Prabhupada was placed in Samadhi, Omkara had these covered with silver. But then he decided not to put them there because there's so much theft. Prabhupada had instructed him to not use any real silver and gold for the deities because it attracts thieves. So we keep them locked up here and we show them once a year. This is one of Srila Prabhupada's walking canes. It's a silver cane shaped like a lion that Kirtananda Swami had brought here for Prabhupada from New Vrindavan. This key was worn by Srila Prabhupada wherever he went around the world. It's the key to Prabhupada's private Elmira here in Vrindavan. This is a color photocopy of the inside of Prabhupada's passport, his last passport, with his signature and picture and some interesting details. Name of Prabhupada's father is late Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. And he gives his address at one of our older Delhi temples at Lajpat Nagar. This is from the 20th of August 1977. In the description of Srila Prabhupada, under visible distinguishing marks, it's written Vishnu Tilak on forehead. Srila Prabhupada will come out either from his prasadam room or from his back door into the garden. Sometimes on his back veranda he would set up his bed and mosquito net and sleep out here in the heat. Other times he would just like to sit out here on his asan in the evening times with his disciples surrounding him, and they would speak with him. Also, during the daytime, he would often have his massage out here, and even sometimes he would go into this fountain. There's a little step, and he would bathe in the fountain. Srila Prabhupada would come into his upstairs bedroom and sit at his desk. We would bring him his milk and evening meal at 9 o'clock. Only his servant, his secretary, and Vishwambar Dayal, that's Bhagaji, would come up to see Prabhupada here. Bhagaji would come every night and just talk personally with Prabhupada and massage his feet when Prabhupada went into his bed on his back veranda. We hope you enjoyed the tour of Srila Prabhupada's house. Please come here for darshan, for inspiration. Just walking through Prabhupada's rooms, you'll feel his presence. Prabhupada is eternally here. He called Vrindavan his home, and this is his home, his house here. All of his activities are still going on here. We can feel Prabhupada's presence. When you understand what Prabhupada did in each of the rooms and how the devotees served him here, how so many devotees came here to make their offerings to Prabhupada, to spend the last days with Srila Prabhupada. These rooms come alive with just love for Srila Prabhupada. So we're sure that if you come here, you'll feel all of that love and affection that Prabhupada had for his devotees and the devotees have for Prabhupada here. Hare Krishna.